So within the next few years, what you're going to see doctors saying we can't accept new Medicare patients, which is exactly how it started with Medicaid, you may remember. Doctors at first just had to scale back how many Medicaid patients they could see. Now a lot of doctors don't see any Medicaid patients because it's not worthwhile. Is that a question?
Yeah, if I may real quick interrupt you, just a question to the point here. There was our sentence in the Wall Street Journal about a week or two back about seniors that would choose to have their own health care plans rather than participate in Medicare. And although apparently that is a possibility, that doing so, you forfeit Social Security. Is that what the law reads? Is that it?
Yeah, not only is that true, but actually we're seeing cases now where people want to, if you didn't know the question was, what about seniors who want to bypass this and they want to forego Medicare? The government says, you do that at your own peril because we're going to take your Social Security. And they've actually sued a few couples in Florida and some other states for that exact issue. Medicare Advantage, for those of you who know, is it's a supplemental healthcare plan that seniors can opt in. It's very popular. Seniors who have it are able to get a lot of their just additional medical expenses taken care of, vision, dental. One of the reasons Democrats have chosen to cut that is it was the perfect example of a free market solution, and it was completely counter to everything in Obamacare. So Obamacare, again, drastically cuts Medicare Advantage. So in Massachusetts and Connecticut last year, there were tens of thousands of seniors who got notification that their Medicare Advantage plans have been canceled. And you're going to see more of that happening over the next few years. So we spoke about seniors, and now I'm going to pivot and we're going to talk about young adults just briefly. Young adults, on the one hand, it might seem like Obamacare is a good deal for them because at this point, if you're 26 years old, you can stay on your parents' health insurance. Now, we can talk about that from the perspective of having a healthy society and encouraging people to get jobs and become independent and pay taxes. This is a really bad idea. It's counterproductive to have 26-year-olds on their parents' health insurance. It's an unfortunate policy because for the parents, employers, this is a completely unforeseen cost that they're going to have to absorb now. But the other thing is that, and this is something that Democrats have acknowledged, the only way that Obamacare works is to have young, healthy people subsidizing the health care of sicker people. So rather than allowing young people the possibility to purchase the health insurance that covers their needs, because the reality is most 25-year-olds don't have that many health needs. They shouldn't have to be, as Obamacare dictates, they should not have to be purchasing expensive health care so that there can be, as our president would probably say, this distribution of wealth. It's a perverse system. Another way that young adults will be affected by this law, changes in HSAs. HSAs are health savings accounts, and they're extremely popular for young people because it's a way for them to put tax-exempt money into an account, and then they can pull it out when they go to see the doctor. A lot of those plans are high deductibles, and unfortunately with Obamacare, they're also cut. So within the next few years, most health savings accounts will be completely phased out. Just briefly, here's an overview of where Ohioans get their insurance. You can see the largest chunk is employer-sponsored, and then you can see the smaller portion is Medicaid. You're going to see more people moving from employer-sponsored plans over to Medicaid. Obamacare is going to have a really bad impact on Ohio's businesses and your economy. And this is happening in every state, and you can already see some of the impact and the fallout from this law. As I said, Obamacare functions primarily as a tax bill, and so the coercive tactics in it are interlaced with the tax code, which is why when they were writing it, they were actually changing, they were literally changing the federal tax code at the same time. Employers who are not able to pay for employees' health insurance, there are a few exceptions, but most of them will incur a $2,000 per person penalty. Some employers who have fewer than 50 people will be exempt, and there are a few exceptions, but by and large, most companies that do not provide adequate coverage, this is not just basic coverage, it's what the government deems to be adequate coverage, which is extremely expensive, they're going to be hit with a $2,000 per person fine. And I'll give you one example. Recently, there was an owner of IHOP. He had 12 IHOP franchises. And he said, up until now, business had been going well. But for part-time waitresses, it's not economically feasible for him to provide health insurance. He hasn't done it, and it's a system that works because part-time waitresses are able to go and get health insurance either through their husband or they can purchase some of those mini-med plans that I've been talking about. Correct. But for an employer to have to pay for someone who's working 18 hours a week to pay an additional $2,000 fine, it's not feasible to expand. So he said rather than growing his business, he's going to just have to stop his growth plans, which of course means fewer jobs. Now, this is something that comes up again and again. Isn't it the employer's responsibility to provide health insurance? Because if you have, for example, those waitresses, who's going to provide that health insurance? But this is where, again, having those mini-med plans that McDonald's offers, because they do offer those for people who are working fewer than 20 hours. That's a great option for people who are in some of those jobs like waitresses. Car washes are another one. They've been lobbying because of their implications with this law as well. Wage growth. One of the other things that we've seen, and actually this already happened in Massachusetts under Mitt Romney's plan, we saw wages go down because employers have a choice. If I have to pay for more expensive coverage or pay a fine, then they only have two choices. They can either lay people off and have fewer employees, or they can decrease the amount that they're paying each person. The unfortunate result is that a lot of employers will make the decision to just simply move their employees over to Medicaid. And that is part of the reason why Ohio is going to see close to a 24% expansion in your Medicaid rolls. According to the Congressional Budget Office, and keep in mind that this is a Democrat, these are his statistics, and even he acknowledges that nearly 800,000 jobs will be lost as a direct result of Obamacare. And actually, just to go back to that point, you may remember Nancy Pelosi at the time that the law was being passed. She said that this was going to be a great boon to the economy and that it was going to create jobs immediately. And what we're seeing now is not only is it not creating jobs, we're actually losing jobs.
That happened to me.
With the expansion of Medicaid, what you're seeing is the federal government is dictating to states, you have to increase your Medicaid. For most states, they need more flexibility. They don't need the federal government telling them that they need to expand a program that they already can't afford. The result, of course, in every state is going to be higher taxes. That's predictable. You can't have the government